Yo, what's good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm giving you guys my top 5 busted loadouts here in Warzone. If you guys enjoyed this video, let's break 200 likes and subscribe with notifications turned on. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun here today, we're giving you guys a build for the DG58 LMG. This is going to be with the conversion kit, not as the long-range gun. I've got plenty of videos on that, so you guys can go check those out here on the channel, but let's get into it. So first thing, of course, we have to have on the Jack Nightshade rifle kit. This makes this thing insanely good for close range combat. You guys definitely are going to want to use this. It's like one of the top 3 SMGs in the game right now. So we have this on there, and of course we're going to go in here immediately, go to the magazine section and throw on the 40 round mag. 40 round mag is pretty much, your standard. You don't ever want to go for the base 30. Doesn't make sense to ever do it. I don't even care if you're playing solos. You always want to go for that 40. So definitely go for this. It just makes sense to go for the 40. After that, we're gonna go down here to the ammunition, and we're actually gonna go ahead and make this thing hit a little bit harder, and that's because we're gonna go down here and throw on the 5.8 times 42 high grain rounds. Bit of a tongue twister right there, but this actually helps us out here, giving us that effective damage range boost about 15%. And of course, in our bullet velocity, you guys can see that that first one right there, the top one, that 14.6 meters is actually your #1, so like your top TTK range. That's like your first damage profile, in which you can take someone out the absolute fastest. And because this is used as an SMG, we're trying to make it compete with the exact range of like the Striker 9, which is like pretty much the king of all SMGs right now. So we happen to have that. Now we're gonna go up in here to the muzzle section. We're gonna make this thing just a little bit easier to use, and we're gonna go throw on a compensator, and that's gonna go down here just a little bit farther. And that's gonna be that beautiful Zeman 35 compensated flash hider. This is just a wonderful attachment for all your short range stuff. You should definitely be throwing this on there pretty much no matter what. There's no reason for you to switch up this attachment for like a suppressor or anything else like that. The Zeman 35 is going to work beautifully, and it helps shorten your overall radar ping, apart from just being a compensator. Brings you down from like 3 seconds to like 1.5. So it's like a 50% decrease, and a lot of people don't pay attention to the radar anyways. They mainly just hear you, which is the other part. Lastly, for our final attachment, we're gonna go back in here to the comb section, and we're gonna go throw on this 5GN tack comb for hip fire spread and sprint to fire speed. This is gonna give us a pretty nice increase here of a 30% increase to our sprint to fire speed, which is absolutely huge, bringing you down to almost 100 milliseconds, making you competitive with all the other SMGs right now, which are gonna hover right around that 95 to 110 milliseconds. So it pretty much makes you right in there, and you also have the effective damage range to compete. So this is going to be a great option right here. And then of course, this is my full build, and I'll remove my face cam for a sec. If you guys want to go ahead and take the screenshot, this is the full build here without my face cam. Now let's move on to our next build. Next up, let's give you guys a build here for the SOA Subverter, a long range battle rifle option that I think is really still solid, but I don't see a lot of people running. It's actually still incredibly good. You just have to be able to manage some of that recoil. So if you guys want to have a great build for this gun, here is going to be the most ideal one you can possibly run in the game. First thing, in the muzzle category, we're going to go in here, we're going to throw on a compensator, which is going to be, well, exactly what I scrolled to, the Casus Break L for horizontal recoil and firing aiming stability. I think a lot of people underestimate how effective controlling horizontal recoil is. It's so much easier. It's infinitely easier to control something that just moves up and maybe ever so slightly to left or right, as opposed to something that's going to jiggle back and forth. That is almost impossible to control the recoil of, or to be able to hit your shots properly, especially at range when you have something that goes back and forth. We got to control that horizontal recoil, and this allows you to do that. Barrel section, we go throw on the largest barrel in here, that Dozer 90 long barrel. You guys want to throw this on. No reason you should ever not use this as a long range gun, and so you should always use the Dozer 90 long barrel. Underbarrel section, throwing on that Bruin heavy support. No reason for us to throw on something else. I know a lot of people like that Bruin. I think it's the vertical pivot grip, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, people like that vertical grip, but I've seen, I've tried it a couple times, not the biggest fan. I just pretty much always go back to the Bruin heavy because I like how it actually functions, all the benefits and stuff I get. And of course, it says it messes with your vertical recoil about 4%, which is not something you're really going to notice, to be honest with you guys, especially when you just, actually make the build properly. So definitely just go throw this on there. Now in the magazine section, we're going to throw on the 50 round drum here. I mean, this one has like what, 20 round stock, which is pitiful, especially for a long range fully automatic gun. You definitely don't want to be doing that. And of course, 30 rounds is not going to cut it here. And then 50 rounds is going to be the only way to go. Seriously, the only way to go. Lastly, in the optic section, we're going to go throw on the Jack Glassless optic, which is going to help us stabilize this gun out even more so, because it helps your firing aiming stability, apart from just being pretty much the most pristine, clean optic you can run in the game. Doesn't matter if you're playing big map, small map like Rebirth, it doesn't matter what you're playing, big map BR, Rebirth Island, Fortune's Keep, anything else like that, whenever that map comes back in rotation, if you're going to be using an optic, the Jack Glasses is wonderful, and that is what I truly pretty much only recommend. Maybe you could run a different red dot sight, but I wouldn't go as far as run that Choreo Eagle Eye 2.5x. I don't find that to be as good anymore. If you guys don't want to run the Jack Glasses, you want to use the iron sights, go throw on the stock, and you can throw on this Motion V2 Heavy, and you'll utilize the iron sights while having better recoil control. So between the Motion V2 or the Jack Glasses, throw either one of those on, and you're gonna be good to go. Like I did with the last build, here is gonna be the full version with no face cam on there. Now let's move on to the next one. Hope you guys enjoy me actually moving my face cam off there for some of those other ones I've been trying to do, because I get a lot of comments. People want to take screenshots of the actual builds. So hopefully this is helping you guys out. But anyways, our next gun here, our number 3 gun, is going to be the Striker 9. Pretty much like I said, the king of all SMGs. There's no reason you should not use the Striker 9 until it gets probably, I would assume it's going to get a little bit nerfed here within the next season, season 4, that update when we get like the Car 98K and everything. But until then, you guys should be using it. First thing, Zeman 35 compensated flash hider. Go ahead and slap this thing on. Definitely the best muzzle attachment possible. Don't recommend anything else. If you wanted to, maybe throw on a suppressor if you really feel inclined, but I just don't really think you should feel inclined to do so. Throw on the Zeman 35 and call it a day. Barrel section, when you go throw on the Striker Recon long barrel. I've discussed this almost not at nauseum, but I've discussed it a few times, where you should only run this because we can see we get an 18, 18, and 15% increase as opposed to a 12, 12, and 15. And that damage range does matter, even though it's like pretty much like less than a meter. It does matter because we are competing with other SMGs like the Striker, that Groza that I just showed you guys, the DG conversion. And then of course this, we got to stay out in past that 14 meters, and this will definitely keep us there. And also doesn't slow us down nearly as much, you know, so definitely some pros right there. But we also don't get recoil control, but this gun doesn't have that much to begin with, so don't got to worry about that. Underbarrel section, throw on the XRK Edge. This is a beautiful, beautiful underbarrel. I've been running this almost exclusively on a lot of my SMGs just because I love the overall strafe speed. It's a little bit actually, well, right behind my face cam, but when you have the DR6, if you guys want to do this in game yourself, you can see the DR6 has 6% ADS movement speed under the mobility tab, and the XRK Edge has 12%, which is huge because when you're ADSing, which is what you primarily do with your SMG, you want to be able to strafe back and forth because it gets you more rotational aim assist, helps you hit your shots as opposed to hip firing, and of course, I mean, just makes you a harder target to hit when you are moving back and forth or moving. So this is all around just a great attachment to help you stay alive longer and hit more shots. Now we're going down to the magazine. We'll throw on the 50-round drum here. You guys always should be running that 50-round drum. If you don't run the 50-round drum, you're just losing out on extra bullets, and there's no real good reason to be losing out on that. It's not like it's the WSP9 where you can get away with not running the biggest mag. This, you definitely need it. Lastly, in the stock section, we're going to go throw on the Striker Factory Stock. And this is going to be the last attachment here. Aim walking speed, movement speed, and sprint speed. Giving you a nice overall increase to make this gun just feel a little bit faster without really messing with your recoil all that much. I mean, pretty much hardly at all. This gun kicks up a little bit, but by the time rotational aim assist kicks in, general aim assist, you're able to pull down, you know, you're shooting at somebody, you ain't gonna notice it. I mean, you're also using it at very close quarters, so having a little bit of recoil is definitely more than acceptable on an SMG. So this is my full build right here, and of course here is the build without my face cam on it. Now let's go to the next one. For our number 4 build right here, we're gonna be getting into the SVA 545, as this is still pretty much like if you want to make a 0 recoil build, like quite literally 0 recoil, where you can just spam the trigger and not have to worry about pulling on the stick at all, this is going to be it. This is the gun for you. So first thing in the muzzle, this is a bit of an interesting one because this doesn't follow the same rules essentially as everything else where we go for the VT7 Spiritfire. This is still a great attachment and you can still be very effective with it. There is just a more effective version of it. So we can see we get a 5, 5, and 8% increase here. It does help their overall recoil, but if we go down here to the sonic suppressor, we get a 5, 5, and 13% increase here to our bullet velocity. So it's a little bit better than the VT7 Spiritfire, which does add up over time 8 as opposed to 13%. It says it messes with your horizontal and vertical recoil, but because you're going to be using this in basically the hyper burst mode or the single shot mode, which fires 2 shots at once, you only need the sonic suppressor on there, not the VT7, to help you with recoil control, because the recoil is not going to be existent anyways, so this doesn't matter. Barrel section, we're gonna go through on the STV precision barrel just to extend out our overall range, make this thing very easy to use. You guys should definitely go ahead and use this. All the rest of these barrels just frankly suck, and there's I don't know why. This has got like, this has to be the gun with the most amount of useless barrels out there, because none of them are good and make this gun any better, because it's not good at close range. It's only really good at longer distances. Like you can get out of a pickle at close range with the right long range build, but none of the other barrels actually genuinely help it besides the precision. Now we're gonna skip the underbarrel section, go down to the ammunition type. We're gonna throw in the 5.45 high grain rounds. So this right here gives us a beautiful increase of 15% across the board, making it so that our bullet velocity is 1134 meters per second, meaning you're gonna be able to down people at super far distances, and it's gonna feel very hit scan as opposed to being sub 1,000 meters. Like, it feels really good when you actually have over that 1,000 or 1,100, 1,200. So it's this closing in on sniper territory for how fast the bullets are going to move. So you definitely want to have this on there. Now magazine, we're going to go through on the 60 round mag. This is a little bit debatable here because you're not running it fully automatic. You can get away with actually probably running a 45, considering it only shoots 2 shots at once. But if you're playing trios, quads, like I play quads exclusively, you can run into a lot of people at once, and it kind of helps to have extra rounds in the mag, as we're not as concerned with overall mobility as we would be with something like, you know, just any other SMG, for instance. Like, we're just not as concerned with it because it's our primary long range gun. Lastly, in the optics section, we're going to once again go ahead and utilize that Jack glassless. It's just the best optic. I mean, you could definitely throw on the Corio Eagle Eye 2.5x, but my preference, because I'm playing Rebirth Island and I don't engage people at super ridiculously far distances, I mean, I just use the Jack glassless, but the Corio Eagle Eye still works, the 2.5x. Throw that on there, interchange that out with the Jack glassless, totally up to you, preferential. It's still going to perform the exact same. It's just going to be maybe a little bit better for, you know, longer distances, like big map, maybe switch over to the Corio. But if you're going to be playing, you know, Rebirth, use the Jack glassless, or you can use it. Doesn't really matter. Either which way. Anyways, here's the full build. And of course, here is one without the face cam on it. So check that one out. Lastly, here today, I want to be giving you guys a build for the WSP-9. This is one of my favorite SMGs apart from the Striker 9 or the Striker. I didn't cover the Striker here today because I covered it in one of my previous videos, and I don't want to like go ahead and cover that again. But let's give you guys a really nice updated build for it that's going to be very easy to manage and control. This is, of course, the fossilized variant. I've been getting some comments about that because the iron sights are see-through. Because it's just one of the variants of the story. Go ahead and check it out by looking at the blueprints if you want to. Really cool blueprint. First thing, we're gonna go through on the Zeman-35 compensated flash hider just to help us out stabilize the gun. This is pretty much almost really all you need to stabilize the gun out. It's gonna be very easy to be able to utilize the iron sights on this build because that's what we're going for. So definitely go ahead and use this. Barrel section, we're gonna go through on the Hiss short light barrel. This is gonna help us with our overall ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and sprint speed, making us faster, and it doesn't hurt our bullet velocity or anything else like that, or damage range. So it's really awesome. So we like to do that, make this thing feel very mobile. Underbarrel section, we go through on the XRK Edge. Like I said, we just get that beautiful strafe speed, and this is definitely one of those guns where you want to be able to ADS and really strafe back and forth quite a bit. So definitely should be having that on there. Magazine, we're gonna go through on the 40 rounds mag. So I want to preface this and say that the 50 round mag is totally acceptable as well. I just like to be a little bit faster, so I'll run the 40. But the only reason you can get away with this is because the fire rate on the Uzi is not as high as, of course, like the Striker 9, for instance, is pretty like, you know, night and day difference on the fire rate. But that means you also have a little bit less wiggle room on like how many shots you can miss. So if you have a bad shot, maybe the Striker 9 is a little bit better for you as opposed to the WSP. The TTK can be a pretty harsh drop off if you start missing a lot of shots. Overall, though, you should be running the 40 if you want max mobility, but the 50 round is still totally okay. Lastly, we're gonna go through on the stock, and that's gonna be the WSP factory stock. And the reason we have this on here is just to give us more mobility, but the no stock is what really will chunk your overall usability of the iron sights. Will start bouncing quite a bit. I know a lot of people don't like that. I personally can use it because I'm totally okay with controlling recoil and I'm very good at it. But I know a lot of people don't like doing that, and sometimes it just gets a bit annoying. So I'll oftentimes opt for the WSP factory stock and pretty much call it a day right there. But this is my full build right here. Of course, here is my full build without the face cam, so you guys can check that one out. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.